edition of Wrestling Sheet Radio. I'm your host, ProWrestlingSheet.com editor-in-chief Ryan Satin. Here with the full crew. We're back. Everyone's here. I got Jamie Iovine in the house.
Hey, guys.
Elijah Bates.
Hi-yo.
And Kevin Silva.
I'm here.
I for those of you who watch the Raw recap show that I do with Roka, you will know that it was very combative this week. So I am going to do my best. Since I'm much less competitive with these three, I will do my best to have a much more mellow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Well,
Open that back up.
Now do a show.
would it help
Now do
you
a
knowing
show.
that I kind of agreed with Roka in a lot of those things he
Did
said?
you?
Oh, yeah.
I knew you would.
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. You know, I had a lot of people going like, this show turned me off, blah, blah. But you know what?
Why?
Because we argued like, it was.
But
That's
I
good.
liked it.
That's good listening.
That's
though.
how, honestly, that's how I feel because
People
look,
love it when Bruce and Conrad argue.
and look it here. We, for the most part, we're usually on the same page. So if you want like a show of friends that are on the same page, you got that here with Wrestling Sheet Radio.
Or
But
on Friends.
what?
Or if you just
the
want a
show
show about
Friends.
friends.
Eli's still warming up again. He's had a show or two off.
Or if you just want to watch Friends.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
For only a short amount of time, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it
Jennifer
moving?
Aniston just got a new Instagram.
The broke
I
Instagram.
saw that. I
She got
saw
an
that.
Instagram.
I saw that.
This is what we're talking about today on the Wrestling Sheet
Here on
Radio.
Crosstalk.
He killed a man. I saw that.
that,
No, and it was very contentious. But you know what? I feel like, you know, as much as Roke and I will argue in those shows, I know that he represents a portion of the audience who feels the same way as him, and it's very opposite to me. So I do enjoy that I have another show that I can be on where the person, for the most part, does not usually agree with me, and we can hash these things out in an appropriate manner. I feel
like there's shows that are intended to completely just feature arguments. Crossfire, for
Absolutely.
instance.
that's how I look at the recap show. That is how I look at the recap
It
show.
should be an argument.
And his whole thing that really set me off from the beginning was that he feels like wrestling that WWE is turning their back on wrestling fans and not caring what wrestling fans think in order to like blend
the synergy thing was way off.
the synergy thing, like
that
where
was
it's like
way
to
off.
blend Fox Sports and Fox stuff with WWE, and it was like, no, it was a draft special. Like,
I liked those little spots. I didn't like the war rooms too much, but yeah.
but they were a joke. Like they
Right, it
weren't
was a joke.
trying to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
serious, you know.
Yeah.
But if you want to hear our arguments, there's a lot of them on there.
there
There's a
is.
lot for us to discuss because a lot happened this week after the fact. Biggest story of the week, obviously, is the fact that Eric Bischoff is already out as executive director of Friday Night SmackDown. He's been officially replaced by Bruce Prichard after only a few months. It
Like
was
4 months,
Yeah,
right?
it
And
was
the
like
crazy
June.
thing is he wasn't moved. He's completely out of the company at this point.
That was the part that was most surprising
That
to me
surprised
too.
me.
Because, you know, when the story broke, it was that, you know, Prichard is replacing Bischoff, and I assumed, like you did, that maybe like, you know, Bischoff's gonna he's
Yeah.
gonna be around still, you
At
know,
least like
phased out,
procedurally, you know,
yeah, for a
politically.
few more months.
Because they gave him, like, they gave Prichard, they specified a title, and it seemed like, okay, they're specifying a title for him, so that means Bischoff's going to get a different title, not be so far in the creative process, but
Why did they
Yeah.
hire Bischoff?
because he smoothed the transition to Fox.
From what I've heard is. From what I've heard, and I don't know, this is the few people that I've spoken with.
Yeah.
It seems to me like Vince thought that he was getting like the Eric Bischoff of old, who was cutthroat and willing to do whatever.
He's been
for a
on
show.
a ranch for like
And
two decades.
I don't think he realized that he was getting the lax Eric Bischoff that exists now
Yeah.
a little more. And
I really feel for the guy. I do. And in the sense that dude fucking moved his life over
well,
there, dude.
apparently, I saw an article from Sports Illustrated who seems to be tight with that whole crew of people, Justin Barrasso, who seems to be in the know of like things related to Conrad Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And in the article there, he stated that even though it seemed like they moved everything, that wasn't necessarily the case, that he didn't sell the house in Dakota or whatever on the ranch, that his wife has been living there still, that he got an apartment in Stamford, that he was living in an apartment.
Smart move.
But
So he just
I'm
had
with
to
you,
move,
Jamie,
like-
that at the time,
It seemed rough.
It seemed like he was moving everything that he was, because he said like packing up everything,
Yeah.
or like selling it all, moving
Yeah.
to Stanford. But from what that article said, that wasn't quite the case.
I wish we could see like a picture of his like bachelor pad apartment too. It's just like lawn chairs.
It's just
motorcycle
the
posters.
signage from Nitro.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I picture like a Sting cardboard cutout kind of thing, stand up
It's actually
thing.
just parts from the Nitro set.
like
just in there.
like old containers from like microwave macaroni and cheese and stuff. And
I like how we all have such drastic different ideas of what his apartment would look like.
Yeah.
I like that we were all on the same page about Eli's kids this week in the group chat.
what do
though.
you mean you were on the same page?
We were all
about
on the
it?
same page
Dude,
about
God,
your kid.
like you wouldn't name a kid Balthazar? Get the fuck out of here.
Like organic applesauce.
Yes to the organic applesauce.
Called
Well,
that.
I also don't understand.
Why wouldn't you get organic
I
applesauce if
agree
you're
with
gonna
that,
get
yeah.
applesauce?
Because everybody knows Mott's, while it does have a little sugar in it, tastes infinitely times better.
Mott's is filled with preservatives. Like I don't really know a lot about applesauce.
We're losing
but no,
that mod sponsorship right now.
Damn it.
No, but Balthazar, no.
Rhythm, though. You come on.
Not Balthazar. What is that? That sounds like a pterodactyl's name.
That is the name of my pet pterodactyls. So.
Your daughter's name is Dewdrop.
Ooh, that's
Dude,
good.
That's a good name. Like, but do like DEAUX.
My
Oh,
favorite
God.
part, we were all discussing the pretentious way Eli would raise his children in the group chat, and my favorite thing was we were all discussing the name situation, and Eli said that he was always wanted to name his child Rhythm
Or Zephyr.
But Jamie goes,
Well, because
"Oh, no,
I said
yeah,
why.
why?" And he goes, "Well, it's one of my favorite words in the English
It is.
language.
It's my favorite word.
And Jamie goes, "Well, I love corn dogs, but you don't see me saying I'm going to name my kid Corn Dog."
My favorite part of that
I
is
love
that
corn dogs.
That means that Jamie's favorite word in the English language is corn dogs.
Also, the conversation that moves into him naming his kid corn dog
It's not
for
even-
like
it's
20
not even the
minutes.
fact that he
If
loves
you
corn
told me
dogs.
there are corn dogs
It's the
in a
word.
mile distance from here, I'm gonna go find them.
I fully support you naming your kid corn dogs, plural.
Oh, plural. That actually throws a whole new wrinkle in it.
Hey man,
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever been to Doghouse? They have corn dogs.
Not-
Where's Doghouse?
There's one.
They're in LA.
Burbank, yeah.
They're around.
When that one hot dog
across
on a
the
stick
street
from the West Side Pavilion closed down, I was pissed because the closest one's in Santa Monica now.
Yeah, it's devastating. It's devastating.
It's right
One
down the street
across
from my house.
Across the street from Wonder Brothers lot.
So, Eric
I
Bischoff,
need
so
one.
what I also heard is that it seems like he was having trouble kind of like acclimating to the situation of like, just kind of like, it was
Work?
Yeah, it was there was a lot to take on, and from what I've heard, that he wasn't necessarily taking it on as quickly as people would have liked, and so ultimately the decision was made to kind of cut bait and just kind of go their separate ways. And from what I've heard, what I had heard this whole time was that he was working closely with Prichard, and that Prichard was doing, I don't want to say doing a lot of the work, but Prichard was very much helping him with a lot of the stuff, because it does seem like Bruce Prichard has been very re-energized since coming back to the WWE.
Absolutely.
Bischoff doesn't sound like he's bummed out about this at all. I mean,
Right. It
From
doesn't-
what I heard, he seems very happy about the situation.
But also, as much as I think that's probably the case, he's never been one to really, he's never been one to show like, yeah, this is just how it is. I wish it wasn't the case. At no matter what stage of the career he's ever been in. When he was in the WWE as Eric Bischoff, as the GM and all that stuff, and he did all that stuff with Vince getting like thrown in the dumpster and stuff, he never had the aura of being like an employee. Like as somebody like that responds to Vince, even though he did.
yeah.
He never really kind of like carried himself in that sense, if that makes sense.
No, it
to
makes
anybody.
sense.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like I never thought of him as somebody that Vince could yell at.
Yeah.
Like for instance, case in point, I was listening to the Something to Wrestle With episode about No Mercy 2004, and there was a part in it where that was the era where Eric was the GM of Raw, and Eric left. Eric showed up to the No Mercy pay-per-view. They thought they didn't need him, and they said you could go home, and he did. They ended up needing him, and they were like, "Where are you?" And he wasn't there.
I just listened to the episode.
Yeah, and that's the example, like that Vince and Triple H yelled at him. I can't.
Well, if you remember, though, that was like the report was that they yelled at him, but then Bruce was like, no, it was me and Briscoe waiting for him at the thing. I'm like, hey, what?
Well, then Vince did talk to him.
Yeah.
And Vince did talk to him. And like, even if they didn't yell at him, even getting chastised.
Yeah.
Even Vince just calling him out, be like, don't do that. And he'd be like, yes, sir. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Bischoff always has come across to me too in every position I've seen him in since like WCW is like, I don't really need this.
Oh yeah.
He never really. He's not desperate for work. That's why even whenever he took this job, I was just kind of like, "What, dude? Like, why would you even take?
This is
on
a really
so much,
hard job.
It's a ton of responsibility to take on. It sounds good to say yes to it. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna be in charge of this thing. But it's like, you know what you're getting involved in. It's like that's not some small thing. And the dude lives on a ranch in Dakota, or one of the Dakotas.
I think that's what it is, right? Isn't that where he lives?
North Wyoming.
Montana?
I thought it was Wyoming, but
Isn't it Dakota? I don't know.
I think it's Cody, Wyoming.
that's what it is. Cody.
That's what it is.
That is what it is. Cody, Wyoming.
But I mean, knowing how it's back in the day, maybe that like because it's so hard to nobody can really prep for what life is going to be like in the WWE. But now with all the podcasts we have, the exposés, people becoming a lot more clairvoyant with what they do over in businesses. It's pretty established that working at the WWE, you have no life except that business.
Oh yeah.
It involves your personal life and your professional life.
Especially at that level, you're traveling 24/7.
You're on call all the time.
And you know what's funny is like I remember
Not even on call. You're working 24/7.
Yeah, and you got to be ready. Like even if you're asleep at 3 in the morning, then you got to pick up if Vince calls you.
I mean, that's why Heyman's so good in the job because he doesn't sleep.
I was just gonna say, like when they made the announcement, they were like, Heyman's in charge of Raw and Bischoff is in charge of SmackDown. I was like, what? And then they're like, what? You know, like it was just kind of like, what's Bischoff doing? What's he like? I mean, like all I feel like I ever hear him do these days is just kind of talk about like the clarification of like why he wasn't wrong or why something bad that happened was not his fault or something like that. All of which may be true, but at the same time, it's just like the other thing is just like Bischoff is kind of old, you know, like I'm kind of old, you know, like everybody's getting kind of old, but in the wrestling in the wrestling industry especially though too, you know, and it's just like I think it's just one of those things like. It makes sense that Triple H is doing it because he's been like knee deep in the rest of the world for a long time. But it's just like
we did it at the same time exactly, unprompted. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Bischoff's old. That's the whole point. And you guys are getting there.
But going back to your point, I agree with you that Bischoff is always really carried. Heyman is going to be tied to the business until they put him in the ground.
Totally,
Yeah.
He will be.
He's like Vince in that regard.
He's a lifer.
Yeah.
Like he bleeds the business.
Bischoff has never really carried himself that like I need wrestling.
Yeah.
Never. To me, like him even doing the podcast with Bruce was with Conrad was just like I'm bored during the day.
Yeah.
You know, I need something to do. You know,
It's like there's only so many hours on the ranch that I can spend like spindling
inseminating
things that you
cows.
spindle on a farm.
So, that sounds right.
They inseminate
Twine?
cows. I know that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Grain.
Isn't he making beer or something?
Doing grain.
Doing grain.
However, grain is produced.
I also respected that after the news was announced that Eric Bischoff did give props to Bruce Prichard, his replacement. He said, Bruce is a great producer, a good friend, and I'm certain he's going to thrive in his position. He's going to be working with a great team of the most dedicated and hardworking people I've had the pleasure of working with and getting to know. I honestly believe that I mean, honestly, this is the best move, obviously, but I think that I like how gracious he was in all of this.
Yeah,
because,
he was
like,
a class act.
he could have, from what it's being reported, he had a contract that wasn't some sort of like 3 months, sitting at home on the sidelines type thing where he has to be quiet. Apparently, he can do whatever he wants still. So he could have showed up on AEW, which, you know what, I like that he didn't try and do something like that. That he just respectfully went home. It's like I'm not trying to like this be a thing where I'm making waves. Like it didn't work out. Whatever.
Yeah.
Stay in the family.
What are the odds of that happening still, though?
in the future.
Like, will we just see Bischoff walking down the ramp with his backwards Kangol cap, just making his way down?
And by the way, I don't. Why would anybody blame him?
well, absolutely.
If he still wanted to do this shit, why not?
But what are the odds? What do you think?
I would hate it.
Why? What if he still wants to do wrestling?
No, I would just hate them doing that.
Yeah.
I would just hate it.
Hey, what? If
The idea of like making Bischoff like an authority figure on AEW TV
done.
just because it's Nitro.
Oh,
they would literally make them look like TNA.
I wasn't
Right.
thinking
It
that.
would
I
literally
was
be the fourth time it's been
yes,
done.
to
Yeah.
making him a character, sure, but I'm more so bringing him into the office is what I was thinking. I didn't hear that part that Kevin
But if
said.
the whole reason it didn't work out is because he wasn't energized, what would make you think he'd be energized with an even bigger mountain to climb?
I'm not discussing the idea of whether it's like whether or not it's going to be fruitful or not. That's not what I'm discussing. I'm
What are
saying
the
he
odds
shouldn't.
of it happening?
No. I'm also saying he shouldn't be chastised for it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, if he were to make that decision, you're
Yeah.
saying?
I'd be curious what the conversation was when they let him go, just to see kind of just like what kind of like I mean, because it sounds like they're all on good terms and everything like that. I mean, maybe he got like a fat payout, and maybe he's just looking at it as just like, hey, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I got a fat payout here. I get to go back to the ranch with like $1 million in my pocket or something like that.
That's kind of what I wonder too. Is that like, you know what? I probably did. I don't want to get yelled at for another 6 months, and I got a sick payout that would have taken me 6 more months to get, and I get to go back to the ranch. I got a fat little nest egg. I'm gonna keep it to my podcast.
I mean, I like
my live shows.
You know, when I got my job,
I could talk about banging my wife every day, every
Blue
Monday.
Chew, yeah.
when I got the job at TMZ years and years ago, I remember I went off. I was on unemployment previous to that for like 2 months, and unemployment's so sweet. You're just like getting paychecks just to like not work, and if you got a nice little nest egg saved up and everything, you're just sitting pretty.
Yeah.
And I remember day 2 on TMZ, I was just like, why did I go off of unemployment? This is horrible here. How do I get back on unemployment? And guess what? You ain't getting back on unemployment after you've already said that you're going off of it and you got another job.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, man, you idiot. And I guarantee you,
screwed it up, Bates.
Bischoff probably started getting yelled at, and he was like, why did I go off of unemployment? And then all of a sudden he realized, they came up and they're like, hey, will you go back on unemployment and take 6 more months of it too? And he's probably just like, oh my God, my prayers have been answered.
Yeah, that's honestly that wouldn't surprise me if that's the case at all.
I've always been a huge fan of Eric Bischoff's just because I don't know.
I like him.
Yeah. No, I love Eric Bischoff.
And I hope something does eventually come his way. He may not want it, but
like I have so much respect for Eric Bischoff. Like everything that he's done in wrestling, like what he did for wrestling in the '90s, like dude, like it's
like I mean the dude's probably if he doesn't burn any bridges or anything, not that he needs it or requires it, but he's Hall of Fame bound for sure.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no question. And he was announced for an appearance at StarCast, so maybe he's going to talk about all of this.
What a picture.
Because they're going for the whole,
the
90s. Yeah, they got, like, Van Hammer and the Ding Dongs that are going to be there and stuff. Okay, let's talk about Mike Kanellis. Mike Kanellis put out a statement this week claiming that he has once again requested his release from WWE. He started off saying, "Today I asked for my release from WWE. I want to thank everyone in the company who has helped me out and who I have shared a locker room with. I love you all. I've been with this company for almost 3 years, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity. However, it is time for me to move on. I am only 34 years old, and I feel I have way too much left in the tank. Working 1 day a week is just not going to cut it for me. I came to WWE to work, and that opportunity does not exist right now." So for those of you who recall, Mike asked for his release in January of 2019. It was not approved. They did not grant him his release when he tried then.
Okay.
He then decided to re-sign 6 months later when they offered him a new contract. But after re-signing, I'm pretty sure everyone listening to this remembers that he was brought to television where Maria announced that she was pregnant. But then, since then, has basically demeaned him into believing that he is not the father of the baby.
And that's where the storyline ended.
And that is where the storyline ended and got transferred, it would seem, to Lana and Rusev now. And basically, Mike touched on this. He said, "I re-signed with the company back in June because I thought it was what was best for my family, and maybe from a financial standpoint it was, but I quickly realized that bringing my work frustrations and misery home with me is not good for my family, and I no longer want my daughter to constantly see me come home defeated, sad, and angry. It's not fair to her or my wife." What do you guys think about all this?
like I told you guys on the text, I was first off taken aback that he was 34.
How old do you think
were
about it?
shocked
I thought he
about
was
that.
much older.
Like 40?
Because since he's been around for so long.
Yeah.
I thought
he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, no, I thought he was at least 40. Or if not close, like 38, 39.
It doesn't surprise me. Like, I feel like this is kind of par for the course for him. You know, they're digital storytellers. I feel like more so than the professional wrestlers at this point.
Yeah, I mean, so has it come out yet? What's going on with his wife yet?
The storyline wise?
Yeah, no. In terms of like, is she part of the company? Is she asking for her release?
It has not. I would assume that she didn't also ask for her release this time, only because she was so adamant when I said it was the two of them last time, and they were like, "No, it was not me." So, from what I had been told last time, like I had said then, he asked for his release, and it was internally felt like he was saying, "We want our release." I would assume, since they made such a point of that last time, that it was just him this time.
Do you think that the higher-ups in the company have no respect for him?
I mean, just like my guess.
Yeah.
You've seen what they did on TV.
Do you
Yeah,
think that
I mean-
Heyman does?
I know Heyman has mad respect for Maria Kanellis.
Okay.
That I know. He's got like massive respect for Maria Kanellis. Like he always talks about like how she's got like this great mind for wrestling and stuff like that. So he does have massive respect for Maria Kanellis. I know that much.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm not sure. But I mean, we talked about the bitch stuff on here.
Yeah.
That like I thought that he was trying to like pay his dues a little bit, like, hey, put me through the dirt.
But also, I feel like that could have been if they had done it so much to that he snaps and then like gets some sort of babyface shine after that. That could have led to something, even though all this like inferior thing. And I thought him pinning Maria for the 24 title when that their whatever fucking
the OBGYN
thing, yeah. And I thought that was maybe like a hint of it going forward, and then. Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I've never really, and to be fair, I wasn't nowhere near as versed into the world outside of WWE as I am now. Mm-hmm. When Mike was active on Ring of Honor and so on in Japan, so on and so forth. And I don't know. He's just never stood out to me, and I think him. When when everybody was hyped that him and Maria were coming back to the WWE, I mean, I'm never one to like rain on somebody's parade, and so I was like, yeah, good for him, like he's got a job again. That's nice, him and his wife. Mm-hmm. But in the back of my head, I never really understood why. It was
like why'd they bring them in?
Yeah, like what do they see in those guys that would? I mean, obviously Maria is gorgeous, but she's been pregnant 80% of the time that she's been on the roster.
Well, she wasn't when they brought her in, but yeah.
And no, not when they brought her in, but the time she's been here.
Yeah, totally.
And that's not, I mean, I'm not trying to fault anybody.
No.
But it's just I don't. It just seemed like a waste of a slot to me.
I'm surprised that they re-signed them.
That's the whole point. I'm just saying,
I don't like that they re-signed them. Back in June, just like
oh yeah, when they offered him a new contract.
Yeah, it's just like I mean,
contract.
Like I mean, they like for starters, yeah, they clearly. Not that this is necessarily the case, but it looked to a lot of people like they were working the system in regard to like what services or opportunities they took advantage of through their employment contracts. And then, like they weren't necessarily there, complained a lot online,
That's true.
Made a lot of like digital noise, on Twitter and stuff like that. Not necessarily in character, but just about how like Mike was being used and stuff like that. And it's just kind of one of those situations like, why did they re-sign him for 5 years? Just so they could put him through like 5 years of like of servitude?
And pay them?
Like I don't get it.
I think they're talented people too, but I was also confused when it happened.
There's so many people on the roster
for those
already.
similar reasons. But then I thought, oh, maybe it's because they agreed to do this cuck angle to show that like they were loyal to the company or something. But then clearly he doesn't seem like he was happy about that. I mean, the rest of his statement, he said, being a pro wrestler was and is my lifelong dream, and I'm just not ready to give that up yet. I wasted 4 years of my life addicted to drugs and not caring, when I should have been having the best matches of my life. Now that I'm clean, sober, and motivated, I want to have those 30-minute matches. I want to travel the world and wrestle in front of UK crowds, German crowds, Japanese crowds. I want to feel the love and excitement wrestling once gave me. I also want my daughter to be able to see me wrestle. I want her to see her daddy work for his money. I've never been okay with just collecting a paycheck, and I can't in good conscience tell my daughter she has to work her ass off to get ahead in life, then not do it myself. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm hopeful and excited. Thank you to everyone who has ever supported me and had my back. I love you.
These guys think really highly of their daughter, first off, because they've been claiming that she's been watching him since he was born. So, like,
how old is his daughter?
Like,
it's a baby still.
According to them, like, this baby's very observant.
The baby's going to have a really, really confused understanding of who their parents were if they've been watching WWE programming all the time.
The only way they see Mike.
They're like, my parents have a very unhealthy relationship with the television.
I just don't. I'm sorry, Kevin. Go for it.
No, I was just going to say that. I mean, it's no surprise that no secret that Ring of Honor had been putting out some contracts. And he was a big name for Ring of Honor. Do we see him going back to Ring of Honor?
That's the only place I really see him.
Who else would want him?
I don't see him.
Yeah.
It'd be a bad idea for him to go to Impact. I think.
Well, Impact, I don't think would be interested based on the way he left. I
don't
feel
think
like with ROH,
I think he'd be welcome to.
Matt Taven's been at the top the whole time. He's connected with Matt Taven and Maria. It would make it would only make sense for him to
Right.
rejoin the Kingdom. The Kingdom has still been involved in Ring of Honor and stuff. So, yeah, obviously that's
And I feel
number
like-
one.
I
and
feel
I feel like AEW wouldn't really.
AEW already
be as
has
interested.
like enough like kind of like those lower mid card WWE cast-offs that they're rebuilding and everything like that at this point, and just like I just don't understand like based off how he's been presented the last couple
Yeah,
years.
I mean,
who would want him?
We all know this that that the world of professional wrestling, not for everybody, but by and large, is what have you done for me lately? You know, and what have they done in the past 3-4 years? You
and
know,
they already kind of have like a Sean Spears. I feel like Sean
No, that's
Spears
what I
kind
mean.
of fills
It's just
that
like-
role
yeah.
already.
Like
Yeah,
Sean
yeah.
Spears is 100% like that person already.
Yeah.
They don't need another person like that unless he's just going to be jobber to the stars.
Yeah, I agree with you in that aspect.
Stars in the making.
I honestly feel like there's no way they're ever going to release him, and they're just going to keep this. They would rather pay him for 5 years to sit and do nothing than release him.
So there's
Yeah.
been no word about him
If they're
actually
gonna release
possibly
him,
getting
no.
released.
Not that I've heard.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
I have such a hard time believing they would. They didn't do it last time.
Right.
Why are they going to do it now?
It's crazy.
especially since he signed on for 5 years.
And made it public.
Dude, you need to stop. You need to not say, I asked my release. Like,
It doesn't seem to help anything.
no, it's because they
it's
just
a
keep
bad
them.
idea.
They're like, oh, cool. You wanted to make that public? Cool. Sit at home now.
I love how every single one of these things now is like a screenshot of like the note function in the iPhone too. It's like I wonder what other notes these people have written in their iPhones. There's like shopping lists and stuff like that, followed by a lengthy release notice.
I mean, Luke Harper, poor guy. I mean, he was brought back just to be like a cannon fodder for Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. He's off TV again.
Well, he got drafted to SmackDown, but yeah, it's not the best sign. It's not the best. It's not,
welcome
it's not
to
as hopeful.
SmackDown, the show that you're already on, Luke Harper.
Well, and no, everyone had the draft,
I know,
their
I'm
roster
saying
reset.
that.
Because a lot of people were saying that, like, they weren't drafted, they were already there. I'm like, well, no, but everyone
I know, but it's just funny every
got
time.
reset.
There's a lot of times where they made it like seem like they were brand new to the show, and I was like, stop. You need to stop
Hey,
that.
did you know the Authors of Pain got signed? Can't wait to see what they do.
Hey,
like
I am
that.
excited
I'm
to see what happens with
I'm-
Authors of Pain.
We're gonna
I'm-
fight you, okay?
We're gonna eat your food.
We're gonna eat your food.
I am hyped for Viking Raiders versus Authors of Pain. 'Cause I'm pretty sure that's where this is all
Oh,
going.
yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the most ridiculous story of the week, and that was people being mad at All Elite Wrestling for renaming the backstage the go position to the Dusty position.
Guess who's never worked with Gorilla Monsoon? Cody Rhodes.
Or
the
like
Bucks.
all
the
those
entire
people.
AEW
the entire
roster.
roster.
Yeah.
They're all young children compared
And a
to
lot of the
like,
people on top did work with Dusty Rhodes. Like,
And I was seeing some of the comments. They're saying, "Oh, it's not just a WWE thing. It's bullshit. It's a WWE thing."
I'm pretty sure like most of like indie wrestling feds, I'm sure PWG, they just go, oh, behind the curtain. They don't even call it anything. They're just like,
Apparently
yeah,
they
behind
call
the
it-
curtain.
in TNA, they said they call it the go position, and
Oh yeah, go position. That's
and
right,
then
yeah.
I think it said in WCW it was called like the Jody position or something like that. It's such a the
doesn't
gorilla
matter.
position is 100% a WWE
Has he
thing.
been anywhere else in his entire life?
I mean, I don't know, but he's most associated with
It was named
WWF.
after him for the backstage scene in WWF.
Yeah.
Like,
It was
it's
named
like-
for the
because
spot
he
where
was there.
he
Yeah.
sat
He
always
was
in.
there. Like that was his
No, it's,
spot.
not, it's a WWE or F homage to Gorilla Monsoon and his position that he held within the
Guess what
company.
if
And now it's a bunch of former WCW people working with a bunch of people who worked with Dusty Rhodes at various points in
And
their
who were
career.
raised by
who
him.
were raised on him that they're like,
By-
yeah, fuck yeah, let's have a Dusty
Yeah.
position. That's awesome.
Also, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't.
Like I mean, that's the real thing.
Yeah.
really
hey,
doesn't.
fans at home, when are you going to have to be worried about where the gorilla position
Hey.
is?
It
Or the
doesn't
Dusty
matter.
position?
Hey, just in case everybody needs to know, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's a
don't
fake
matter.
room. It's not even a real room.
It's a it's a real room.
It's a traveling room.
It's
a
a
How
travel.
can you have
it's
a
room
fake
that they-
room? It
It's
would
a
be
room made by curtains.
It
But it's
is.
still a room.
It's still a
sir.
room. Well,
You asked the three people sharing a fucking studio apartment in
Would
LA
you
right
call?
now.
Would you
if
call?
they have rooms
If
or
you were
not.
in a tent, would you call it a room?
well, wait, they don't call it a room. It's the Dusty position. So
Right.
it's a position in the production area.
Yeah, it's not even a room.
But it's not called the Dusty
no one's,
room.
no
I'm not
one's-
saying that, but it's just like it's not even a place. It's
But
just
it is
like
a place.
It's in a curtain.
It's a place.
That's a
It's in
place.
curtain. It's like a changing room.
As a man who uses words for a living, I don't like what's happening here because
It's
you're-
not even.
you're-
It's not even a thing. Right? It's not even real.
Ryan, is wrestling real?
Where's
Wrestling's not real, and neither are there
the
rooms.
Hall of Fame?
Oh, I get it, dude. The reply guys on Twitter these days are just.
Read some.
Well, dude,
Read
I
some.
tweeted this week. I said, this is all I said. I said, SmackDown currently has Shinsuke Nakamura, Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn, Ali, Cesaro, Luke Harper, Chad Gable, and Drew Gulak. Those are going to be some good matches. Pretty.
Hey, you know what? Those are going to be some good matches. You're
Pretty
right.
simple thing.
Yeah,
Go on.
Within 2
Those are good
minutes,
matches.
I was like inundated with so many negative replies.
Idiot.
But they'll be booked to shit and ruined. If only there were companies with international markets who actually allowed wrestlers to actually wrestle. Another one says, I think you're way too optimistic on this one, Ryan. Another one says, it's very cute that you think anyone outside of Daniel Bryan gets a legit crack at TV time. Another one said, AEW is better, though.
I need to know.
Okay,
Is that a
the
dong?
reason is because
Is
no,
that-
it wasn't a dong.
Okay.
I didn't answer you on Twitter, Kevin. You could have fucking texted me if you wanted to know. You have my cell phone number. I was clearly not answering everyone on Twitter for a reason.
Oh, I didn't look at. I didn't look at.
People
your
were
phone.
asking me. No, it's because his name was his
Handle.
name was like something
Inappropriate.
Inappropriate.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like something racist, and I was like,
Oh,
eh.
okay.
I was gonna do it for all of them, also,
That's
and then
what
I
it
was
stood out.
like, no, I'm not gonna do this for every one of them. Fuck these people. Like they're dicks.
The Abbey was covered, so I was like, "Is that a dong?"
And
I
then,
don't know.
see,
I
I
didn't
got-
know that you had a bunch of people asking if it was a
Oh,
dong.
I did. There was no.
My bad.
No, they were. No, people were asking me, "Why'd you blur her out just one? Why'd you blur her out just one? Why'd you blur her out just one?" It was a lot of those.
I don't know if it was a dick or not.
They will purposefully never wrestle each other. Like they will wrestle everyone else in the brand, but not each other.
Yeah, that's
WWE
1000%
does this.
gonna happen,
I don't know
sure.
why, but they do. Implying that we will actually get to see any of them and that they last more than 5 minutes. They won't use them all though, and certainly not to their potential.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't know who said it, but Blue Meanie retweeted it. So it's gospel.
It's gospel.
But he said nobody hates wrestling more than wrestling.
No, it was
yes, I saw
MVP who said that.
MVP said that.
And then Blue Meanie retweeted.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I forgot. It was Blue Meanie.
I
who
didn't
tweeted
say
it.
he said it.
Sorry. Yeah, no, it was MVP who said that, and it's
And
true.
That's a fact, Jack.
Dude, and then I posted that, and then people were like, "Well, yeah, you are." And it was so many negative responses, and I was like, "I just said I want to see Daniel Bryan wrestle matches against other good wrestlers. Like, how does that elicit a negative response from people?"
Because
Dude,
people are
dick,
buttholes.
dude.
People who are like fans of niche products are the biggest buttholes on the planet.
Got that right.
Especially if they have like an online platform. I was recently on a website called Mice Age, and it's like
I used to
it's
love
a
Mice
Disney
Age.
theme park website. And if you go on there, you would think that the people on there would be cheerful and
Yeah.
happy. And you go on and read their comments, and they're just like, this new stuff sucks. Everything I grew up with was better, and it's just like, and I was reading it, and I was like, this sounds so familiar.
My
and I
childhood's
realized
ruined.
it's exactly the same tone that a Star Wars response gets.
It's just
or a
fandom.
pro wrestling. It's just
hardcore
like,
fandom.
Hardcore
Yeah.
fandom elicits the worst of people.
It's true.
You should hear about the Dick Wolf fans.
This is a reporter who's giving me
How many
shit
times
before
do
he
you bring
came
up
in
Dick
here.
Wolf a show? Honestly,
I don't know, but it has a Snoop.
I
cool
saw that.
pin. It's
I
nice.
saw that.
Like a reporter today that was talking shit on me because I was at NXT's first show, like as if that showed I was biased towards. Or sorry, that I was at NXT's first show, as if or first 2-hour live show, as if that implied I was like biased towards them, and I was like, what? No, I went to AEW's first show too. What are you talking about? Like, what? It's crazy. Like, people are just so mad, and hardcore fandom
Why?
though.
Like, it's just, I don't get it. Like, what gives people the right to be so angry
I don't
about
un-
these things?
You know what it is that I
Or the inspiration. To be
I like-
angry. It's like, don't these things make you happy?
I like to think that it's a mix of a couple things, that people aren't necessarily really this angry,
No.
but that this is their way of like just venting at the end of the day. Boss yelled at them, annoyed at
I'd say that.
kids. I think it's just like that's why some people have burner accounts. I've just started to try and like not take it like personally, because at the end of the day, I it's just like I really feel like people are they're just angry at life. Like
Yeah.
life sucks.
Yeah.
I love being alive. I'm not, but like life's hard.
Yeah.
You know, like it's, and so I genuinely believe it's just that. And
Yeah.
people who've had people who
That's
mean
a
to them all the
grown-up way
time.
to think about it.
That's
Good job,
I'm
Ryan.
trying. If that's not what it is, then I am an asshole that people really hate. So
Yeah.
And then there's that.
Yeah, that might still be true.
But yeah, this Dusty Rhodes position thing, or the Dusty position, I thought it was super cool that they did that.
Yeah,
you know?
I thought it was cool when they announced it. I was like, of course it is. You know, you got his 2 sons working the goddamn company. You know, like why the fuck not?
You got his friends, his colleagues, his people that he's mentored. Come on.
And
His children.
Children.
and I think that's a perfect segue to get into Dynamite this week. We'll talk about AEW Dynamite, a little bit of NXT as well. But what was that? Oh, was that?
Eli pushing down on the Dynamite.
God.
Time to start the
Hey,
Dynamite segment.
boom, went to Dynamite.
Time to start the chat. So Dynamite this week kicked off with the Lucha Bros attacking SCU to start the show. Scorpio Sky makes the save, runs them off, and then wrestles in socks against best friends.
Which, I mean, doing that, if you don't get how hard that is until you've been on that mat.
I can imagine.
Dude, the fact that I
What
was
makes it
watching
so
that,
hard?
You break ankles.
it's so slippery.
Yeah.
You know, you got to run, you
Yeah.
got to plant, you know, like you're, and that's like you're on socks on a flat, smooth surface.
Yeah.
How did you not like slide all around the ring?
That was impressive. I liked your insight on it the most because now that you've been training like to wrestle and
Bruh,
stuff.
like I could never, like seeing that, I could never imagine doing that. That sounds insane. Working in socks, working in feet is scary to me.
Wait.
like with bare feet?
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
No, like
Got it.
bare feet?
Yeah. Wrestling barefoot. Got it.
Yeah,
the
like
movie
that's
based
pretty.
on
This is a weird way of wording it, wrestling in feet. I was like, wait, what?
That was a weird way of putting it. But wrestling in socks, that just sounds impossible. Like I don't know how you even do that. Whenever Cody does his run-ins in his loafers, I'm like how?
Totally.
Like,
It looks awesome though.
It did look cool.
Yeah.
I noticed at the end too. It was just me, because they win the match. One, it seems like they're really pushing Scorpio now,
Dude, it was great.
which I love.
Yeah.
Did it seem like he looked a little frustrated at the end of the match because he had to wrestle in the tag match? I noticed on commentary they were like, "Oh, he really wanted to focus on singles stuff now."
I don't know. I didn't really pick up on it at least. Yeah.
I was wondering what that was all about because I think I'd be okay with SC.
I thought the whole thing was that he was like, oh, I want to make sure that you guys wrestle in the tag tournament because you're the long-term tag team together, and it makes sense for you guys to be in this tournament.
Because like when it was over, he had his hands at his hips and he was like,
well, to me,
shaking his head, and he won.
To me, I don't think SCU has been properly defined yet in this company.
Fair.
I think they're the only ones that are really, we get an idea of what the Lucha Brothers are, the Bucks, even the Jungle Express, is that
Jurassic
Express. I'm sorry. But what is SCU?
No, you're not wrong
You know?
there. I think that they are one of the acts that they assume you watched.
that you followed before they got there.
Yeah, not even that you watched being the elite. That you watched all those kinds of things. That you were at you watched all in, all that kind of stuff. But I agree with you that
Because
I think
if you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, everybody sort of not completely, but they have kind of a direction.
Well, see, that has been one of my things that like when I watch, and I got a bunch of shit on Twitter this week from a few people because I said that I think that AEW could benefit from having like writers who work in Hollywood on staff as well, just like one or two to help with like storyboarding things. And I think it's because I know that they have said that like we want to serve the audience that got us here. But that doesn't mean that they shouldn't also want to bring people
build
in
that
too.
audience, yeah.
And I feel like treating it as though everybody watching the show has watched every ancillary thing that you have made as well, every Being the Elite, every Road to, every YouTube, everything that you guys have made.
It's very close-minded.
It's a close-minded way of thinking about it, and that's why I brought up, and I'm going to bring it up later, but the rules thing of like where I'm like, have they stated that they're gonna like
referee discretion.
The referee discretion. Have they stated that somewhere? Because I know that kind of like gets brought up.
Do you
real
think
offhanded.
Do you think that they're building towards like a story where like they build their rules, or whether there's something where it's like a little bit more like defined on the television program?
I don't think it's intentional. I don't think it's an intentional
Well,
thing.
because I mean, like everybody is like, oh, well, it's wrestling. Nobody knows those real rules in wrestling. Then don't emphasize it before the show starts.
Yeah.
Like,
Agreed.
don't say like wins and losses are going to matter.
We're a
sure.
sport-centric show.
Yeah, like if you if you don't give a shit about the rules, then like we can forgive that.
Well, someone tweeted me today when I brought up the rules, and we're getting there a little early, but someone tweeted me at the rules thing, and they were like, it's just like boxing and MMA, where like the referees there, officials have like, their own kind of style on like what they'll call. And I'm like, there's never been a boxing or an MMA fight where someone intentionally cheats in front of the referee and the referee's like, I'm gonna allow it just for the fans.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't happen. They'll stop it. They'll get in the middle. Oh, you low blowed him. Like they'll get in the middle. They'll stop. They'll talk to him. That's not a thing where they're like, oh, I'm gonna be a little lenient on that chokehold because it makes for a better fight. Yeah, exactly.
The discretion of those scenarios is based off of. Usually, it's just strictly based off of. If that guy looks like he's about to be knocked out or like he can't defend himself, that's where I use my discretion.
Yes.
It's not like, this in a boxing match, not kickboxing match, where a guy kicks the other guy. That's not allowed. That's a rule.
Yes. Well, in this match, for example, and I didn't even catch it. It more stood out to me in the Lucha Bros match.
When you were talking about it, I was looking for it and I didn't see it.
But you saw the video I posted, right?
No.
Oh, the tag in and out.
I
posted the video here. I'll show you.
Because I was looking for it because I know
right
you
here.
mentioned it and I didn't see it at
I
first.
also didn't.
It was right. I'm pulling it up.
No, it's like as long as those rules are like defined and everything, it's okay if somebody questions it.
When I was watching,
so like,
all right, tag.
Say things, man.
Jamie, tell them what to do.
All right, there was one tag so far. Everybody's in who should be in. But
right here.
Okay, another tag.
Oh yeah. What? So Pentagon
They tagged from the corner inside the ring.
Yeah.
Did you catch that, Jamie?
Yeah, I guess I did. Yeah.
That's weird.
And in this SCU match, which honestly I didn't even catch the one in the SCU match, but when I was talking about this on Twitter, a bunch of people pointed out to me that apparently the opposite happened in this match because in the Marko Stunt Jungle Boy versus Lucha Bros match, with Jamie and them we're just looking at is a clip where they tag Pentagon Jr. is inside the ring, hanging out in the corner, and they do a tag, and it's a legal tag. Yeah, they're high-fiving, and it's somehow a legal tag. In this match, apparently Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian were both on the apron at the same time and tagged each other too, which is also not how it works.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't think it's crazy to say that I think that, like, sports-centric wins and losses matter place should enforce, or not even enforce, just establish what the rules are a
like,
little bit.
Are we giving tags as long as you're in the corner that you're supposed to be in? Is that it doesn't have to be where you are in the ring?
That's an interesting rule.
I thought it was maybe like part of the lucha rule because you know the lucha rule. Like if you go out, the other guys got to go in.
But there's no tagging.
Yeah, there's no tags.
Scenario,
yeah,
it's like,
but
if they're gonna do lucha rules, I just want them to establish that. Like, because for example, like I was watching AEW Dark, and I forget exactly which match it was, and maybe the Lucha Bros are just. I think it might have been the Lucha Bros, and maybe because they do lucha rules matches, it's something they just need to get on. I think it was them, but if my memory serves me correctly, I was watching AEW Dark, and the referee just completely lost track of who the legal man was in that 8-man match, I think it was.
Sure.
And so because they just lost track of who the legal man was, another wrestler just got into the match and just started wrestling, and they were suddenly the legal man when there was never a tag. Oh, okay. And I was like, what? Like, there was never a tag. The legal man is outside the ring right now. Why is this person the legal man now?
Who's like, at the end of the day, like that clip we just saw, is the referee, in all reality of the match that's happening, is the referee at fault right there? Because the referee shouldn't have allowed that.
In WWE, when the referee messes up like that,
it's their fault.
It's their fault, and they get in trouble
But
for
in this
it.
scenario, like it seemed like ref went along with it, wrestlers went along with it, commentary went along with it, and it was like, okay, so then so everyone's in on it, I guess.
Well, JR wasn't in on
it. JR, you can hear JR even holding back sometimes when like something egregious will happen, and he'll be like, and then like go on, and then Excalibur will say something instead, and like, but there are times where JR, I'm sitting there going like, where's the rules here? Like while I'm watching, and then JR will be like, well, that really shouldn't be okay, like, and they're like, well, referee discretion. He's like, yeah, but like they're cheating in front of the ref, like.
JR also like people probably give him shit, but like he has questions of being like, well, who is this person? Like, we need to know. We need to build.
The fans want to know.
The fans, there are people new to the product that need to be taught who people are.
You know.
Like, okay, so for example,
he's a dinosaur and he starts. good.
When they were trying to explain Orange Cassidy to Jim Ross, I was crying. I was crying. What are you doing? You didn't do anything.
Well, here's two things I did
Well, that
love.
looks like a devastating blow right there.
Well, here's two things I did love. I did love the Santana and Ortiz match against the Beaver Boys. I felt like effective way to get over them.
Great way.
They've been making them look like $1 million. I think that they've been making them look like viable threat to
Absolutely.
the tag team division, above the tag team tournament. Even I'm into it since I'm going to get over the Young Bucks losing in the first round.
Also, the I don't know, to go back to just like the presentation wise, like I love like the gear, like I love the
Me
fact
too.
that they're in like
He had
just
a-
like overalls, like
And he
like,
had that fanny pack that he was wearing the whole
Right.
match.
Was that a fanny pack?
It looked like a real designer fanny pack.
like just streetwear, and
I
they're
was
just like
like- I
looking,
was
like,
watching that at
thug as
home.
fuck out
Totally.
there.
I was
In
watching that
fucking-
at home.
yeah.
I was like, is he wearing a messenger bag? Or
Hey,
something?
like
no, that was a
lugs.
fanny. That was like an expensive looking fanny pack.
Did they wrestle in lugs too? Like that's
They
another
may
thing.
have.
I was like,
Maybe there's something inside the fanny pack. Gives him an unfair advantage.
I liked seeing the Beaver Boys on AEW.
right after being on SmackDown
yeah.
recently.
No sign of the Dark Order this week.
No, not this week. And then I thought it was really smart. As much as I think that Ortiz and Santana are capable on the mic, I like Jericho kind of being their mic man because Jericho's so strong on the
Yeah.
mic that like he sold it so well. Even though it was a little silly to have him keep yelling like "We're the best, we're the best" the whole time Jericho was talking.
Yeah, I was.
That was pretty funny.
I just in the background, I just kept hearing the best, the best,
The best!
Is Scorpio Sky still here?
But I liked it, and I liked that we got the kind of like the start of the build to. Well, I guess it's already started, but the actual challenge where Young Bucks and Santana and Ortiz at Full Gear. So I'm into that. Another thing I loved was that documentary style video of Cody to hype the Jericho match, but I felt like there was mixed reactions to it because I loved it, but some people did not love it as much
I
as I
liked
did.
it, but the part in the beginning is so funny to
That's
me.
the part that everyone was laughing at the
Yeah,
most.
it is.
Like where
funny.
he's talking, or she's talking to him, and he just
He's like
drowns
zoning
out,
out. And he's
and then he
like,
just does the movie star.
yeah.
Just walks out of the room.
It kind of felt like in like
that only happens in movies.
like it kind of felt like in TNA, a little bit like when TNA did it with Jeff Hardy, and they're like having it where they could hear his thoughts.
yeah.
Which is one of the worst.
It wasn't
things
as
ever.
bad as that.
No.
As bad as that.
That was
No.
one of the worst.
But I just laughed out. I was like, okay, Brandy, just talk. We're not going
Right.
to hear any of it. Just talk
About your
just-
meetings, and
yeah,
you
just
have
say
a busy
bullshit.
schedule. And then I like the whole package. The only thing, the other thing that I laughed at was the fact that like Cody in that suit, like looking really like $1 million, getting into that truck looks weird.
Yeah, that,
You hated that
that
so
bothered you.
much.
That
really
bothered you.
hated that.
It just doesn't look because he's shot like promo videos where he's getting into like a fancy ass car, like a fucking Ferrari or whatever, and like
It's just like fucking cruising around Atlanta.
I know it's just kind of funny.
He's just going to the office.
That's what they drive in Atlanta.
That is what they drive
Just
in Atlanta.
only pickup truck.
Only pickup truck.
Only
Yeah,
pickup
dude.
truck.
Wait, was it a pickup truck?
I think so.
I thought it was like an SUV or
See,
something.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't
because
even-
wasn't even paying attention
I think
to
it was a
what
pickup
car
truck.
he was driving.
It just looks funny. It was shot weird. It was just very silly.
The reason I like it so much, though, regardless of the content within it, one of the things that I feel like AEW was really like touting in the beginning was like, we're gonna reinvent the wheel. Like we're gonna do things
Yeah.
that are totally different that you've never seen in wrestling. And I don't necessarily feel like I've seen that yet.
Like a film montage type of thing.
Yeah, but I like that this was like a document, almost like a UFC documentary of like
did feel
a
like
hype
that.
video where they're getting ready for a fight
Yeah.
type thing. I like that vibe because I like of what they're those videos to me. What they seem like they're trying to do is placing the AEW wrestlers in the real world as opposed to WWE, who
Like
has
in
their
their own
own universe that
Sure.
nothing exists outside of it, and like. So much so that when the Viking Raiders won tag titles this week, and they said, we're former IWGP champions and former ROH tag team champions, it was like, whoa,
Yeah, that's
you mentioned something outside the
crazy,
universe,
yeah.
And so like I like that they're like, no, these people are like you, they're out there, they're in the world, these are real people. I think that is a smart strategy.
I think it appeals to people like
too.
on a different level. My brother has not watched WWE programming in a long time, in several years. Like not because he doesn't like it, he just lost interest and just stopped. And he's been texting me like every single week just about like what's been happening on AEW, and it's just like it's gained his interest at the very least.
It has, and to be honest with you, I have a lot of of sports fans that don't watch wrestling that have watched a few Dynamite episodes because of the.
That's where I'm at.
My dad's been watching Dynamite and not NXT, and I was like, "Whoa, crazy!" Like I was like, "You watch NXT?" He's like, "No, like I already have enough WWE shows, but I want to see what Dynamite's doing."
You know what I thought was cool about the segment that you're talking about was we got to see a little bit of someone that is very instrumental to the Rhodes family that we don't really hear from. And
the mom,
yeah, like that's really cool to me, and I feel like somebody who was married to Dusty Rhodes, I would love to hear stories from her.
Yeah.
Like she's probably got a plethora of like back catalog fun things to talk about. You know,
Totally, absolutely.
Why does she do an impression? Why does only Dallas do an impression?
I felt like that documentary thing, it just did a good job of like, one of the things that people were wondering is like, how are they going to address their top guys also being VPs? And I think they did a good job of like making it, seem like more of a struggle and less of like power at his disposal type thing.
How he said that the fact that Cody wasn't the first champion really bothers him.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Like that.
I thought that package was very effective. I loved that package.
Are you looking forward to the match?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, definitely. They've been, as much as I say like they shouldn't think that everybody watches all their YouTube content, I have been watching all their YouTube content since it started.
Yeah.
And since they started Road 2, they've been building to Jericho versus Cody. Like since the very first one where he was doing the whole why is no one thanking me type stuff. That was like from the very first one. It was clear that when they got TV, that was going to be one of the first
and
views.
Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe a few handful of times as like a tag team or some throwaway when Cody was still in Legacy or something like that. But correct me if I'm wrong, but there hasn't really been that much interaction in terms of matches between Cody and Jericho.
Not that I can
I can't think of it
off the top of Eli would be better on this topic.
I can't.
Yeah.
I was thinking like maybe a Legacy thing, like where Jericho was tagging with somebody else, but I can't think of anything. So that's another reason
they were
why
just
it's interesting.
they were in like different spheres of even like whenever Jericho is more of like a mid card and everything like that.
Because I was thinking maybe when Jericho or when Cody was doing the mask stuff, but
that's what I was thinking.
But no,
but I don't think that. I think that they were they were both heels probably.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. They were both probably heels at that time.
And Jericho is way more, somebody who is on the Raw brand, where Cody was on like SmackDown at those points in time.
That's what I was thinking too.
That's another.
No, I'm actually I'm definitely looking forward to the match.
And they're both great storytellers.
Yeah. There's also so next there was Riho against Britt Baker for the AEW Women's title. I don't know there's a lot to say about this match. I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it like blew me away at all or anything.
No, it wasn't like breathtaking, but it was a fun little. I gotcha.
Yeah, totally. And then, so we talked about it a little bit with the rules side of things with Marko, Stunt, and Jungle Boy versus Lucha Bros brothers. I feel like they're calling them Lucha Brothers in AEW, right?
Yeah.
Lucha Bros was what it was before on the indies and stuff.
Yeah, Justin announced them as the Lucha
Brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta start getting used to that.
I don't like this song too much.
Yeah, I don't love it.
It just repeats 4 lines at the beginning, like over and over.
I gotta be real.
The music in general has been pretty rough.
It hasn't been that great.
The Santana Ortiz song was rough.
SCU song is the worst song.
They just said "Proud and Powerful" like a million times over and over.
Who does the music?
Downstate.
Just it's strictly Downstate.
They did a lot of them. They did Britt Baker's. They did Cody's. They did.
I love Cody's theme.
I like
Cody's is great.
Friends.
I love Cody's theme.
I like Best Friends.
I love Best Friends
I like
theme.
Moxley's.
I like Moxley's theme. I like Janela's theme song.
Yeah, there's
a couple good ones in there. You didn't like Janela's?
I mean, it's as good as he's gonna get without them paying Kavinsky royalties.
Right. It's so funny. James literally said the exact same thing. He's like, no, it's good. It's not the Kavinsky song. And I'm like, well, guys, I know that, but he can't have the Kavinsky song.
It's like when
That's farewell. Yeah.
Although they should it can't be that much money to license it.
It's a song that's came out like 8 years ago. Like
the only thing is that if they want the promotion to be around for a very long time, when you watch some of these like old WWF things,
they have
to like edit out so much music. It's the worst. Yeah,
I didn't think about that. Have they edited out Cult of Personality, or do they have it still?
Ooh.
I don't know. They probably still have that one, but they've definitely edited out ICP's theme song for the Oddities.
Yep.
So there's no Oddities.
They edited out Diamond Dallas Page's knockoff song.
That's crazy.
Too.
Yeah,
no, but they just cut out the whole entrance now for for Oddities.
So upset.
And I love their entrance. They were
cry.
Where's my Cartman doll? Okay, so but
maybe Jamie will get you some of those sweats. It's fine.
The big Hufflepuff about this, obviously.
Hufflepuff?
Is that a word?
No.
Yeah.
No, that's the name of a house in Harry Potter.
Well, I think it worked.
You've been sorted,
I don't think
apparently.
it does.
I think it did.
No.
Go keep talking. Let's see.
The whole Slytherin of this, guys.
Oh, Slytherin.
I just...
Is the fact that people were like, the Marko Stunt thing, where people were like, look, Marko Stunt might be a fun act, but I saw a lot of people were like, it's just not believable seeing someone that size, kicking out of Pentagon Jr.'s finisher and like holding his own with these guys. What did you guys think about it?
Here's the thing. I really am really, 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 really trying to subscribe to this whole wrestling is for everybody thing because I truly believe that. If you can make it work.
Yeah.
And it's just Marko Stunt would work if he wrestled. I'm really trying to phrase this because I am not a Marko Stunt hater. I am not by any means whatsoever. It's just he wrestles as if the moves that he's doing have the same impact as somebody 30 pounds heavier than him was doing.
Yeah, very well said, yes.
Like, for instance, what really took me out was that spot where he was doing the flippy shit around Pentagon, and Pentagon threw him to Phoenix, and then he did the DDT. You could see him throwing him,
Yeah.
and it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
It's like, and it was a visual, like, it wasn't the momentum that carried him over to Phoenix. It was Pentagon literally tossing him to Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of took me out of
Just
it.
if it pulls you out of the reality of the situation, like we were even talking this past week just about like when Taz came to WWF and like there was layers of disbelief that he could hold his own against so many of those bigger people there. And Taz is a big person,
Yes.
and he's scary.
Yes. He could beat the shit out of people,
Yeah.
Taz. Yeah, I think...
And he's lifted Bam Bam Bigelow.
You know what frustrated me, too, is that... Because I had no problem with the match. Like, I enjoyed it.
But you understand what I'm saying.
I understand everyone's point. Absolutely. Because I've had the same time when I've watched him in certain shows where I've been like, I just don't know if it feels believable to me. But I will say I still enjoyed it. Like I was honestly, I was totally fine with it. I was not as like
I wasn't up in
aghast.
arms about it.
I didn't like him kicking out of Pentagon Jr.'s finisher because I felt like he's not like that should have been the end of the match. They didn't need a 12-minute kicking out of finishers kind of thing.
Not even an hour before, it crippled Christopher Daniels.
Yes,
Right,
totally,
yeah.
exactly.
So, like, how is he going to kick out?
Exactly. And then I thought it was weird how the same people, like, I want to preface this once again by saying I enjoyed the match, just like I enjoyed the thing that I'm going to compare it to. But I thought it was weird that the same people that made such a big fuss over Nicholas being in the tag match with Braun Strowman at WrestleMania, such a big fuss about how Nicholas just standing on the apron, not touching the wrestlers as a joke.
Was tagged in once.
Tagged out
immediately.
Tagged out
It
immediately.
was made as a goof. Even
Made as a
built
goof,
as a goof.
to show that Braun Strowman
So
is so strong that he can have a child stand on the apron
And he'd still win.
and he'd still win
then
because
just
he's
toss
that
the belts
strong.
the next day.
Yeah, that was the whole point of it. And some of the people that I saw praising this same Marko Stunt match were the ones that the next day were like, Cesaro and Sheamus are buried because they were in the same match as a child, and then Braun won. I went, and at the time I thought that was really stupid because the kid didn't do anything. It was just to show that Braun Strowman was so strong. To me, those same people now are saying that Marko Stunt kicking out of Pentagon Jr.'s finisher and going toe-to-toe with two of the top wrestlers in the company isn't a little perplexing.
And also one of the biggest luchadors in the business right now in Pentagon.
Yes.
He's a thick motherfucker. He's not like a flippy Rey Mysterio.
If I hear you correctly, you're saying that you want to see Marko Stunt versus Nicholas?
Hell yeah!
Yes.
Is
Oh
that what
my
you're saying
God.
they're looking towards?
You know me too well.
God, that'd be an amazing match.
Well.
Does that kid have his non-complete clause? Or like,
Oh no, John Cohen is his dad, so he's a lifer there.
God, wouldn't that be something? Marko versus Nicholas.
Marko versus
People
Nicholas.
would pay to see
And
that.
I want to say, I like Marko. I also like the Nicholas thing, so I don't want to let him throw shame.
Absolutely.
I just think it's weird that like the same people
Yeah,
are having such opposite opinions, and when one is much more.
I agree, and the reason why I said that I didn't like the stuff that Marko does sometimes, not everything, but the stuff that he does that makes it seem like his DDT would be just as impactful as somebody 280 pounds. I think that there's a way you could be that small and have that against you and make it work.
Absolutely.
Spike Dudley did it.
Yeah.
Nunzio did it. Like they're able to do it if it's done right.
if he was being tortured the entire match, brutalized, and they were just like toying with him and not like pulling him up after a 2 count, and
then he catches them slipping because they're too cocky.
That's great.
Yes.
Perfect. That's how you build to a hot tag.
Yeah.
And then here comes Jungle Boy or Jungle Jack, whatever Jim Ross is calling him. But
Well, with somebody like that, there's something that they require, and it's fluidity. It's like why you could believe that Rey Mysterio could take down one of these big guys is because the way that he took them down was a sequence of movement and everything like that provided a believability of momentum in his movement.
They also didn't have him do that until he had been firmly established as one of the top small guys in the world.
Yes.
You know,
That's
like they were like, now he can take on bigger guys. You know, so that's why.
But before that, he was facing Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah.
That DDT spot, what could have easily just saved that was Ray Phoenix being like, toss him to me.
Bring him
toss
to me.
so I can do something to
Yes.
him.
Okay, so I'm going to go a little faster because it's okay, but it's okay.
Sorry.
Omega and Hangman versus Pac and Moxley. We kind of talked about the rule breaking stuff, but basically it ended with Moxley hitting Omega with the handle of the bat, not being DQ'd for it, but then Pac running in and throwing the weapons out of the ring to avoid a DQ, even though the referee saw him hit the person with a bat already, which didn't make a lot of sense to me. But I loved this match regardless.
It was a great match.
This match was great.
All four of them
Moxley is a
brought
great
it.
tag.
Yeah, all four of them. And honestly, Pac is next level right now. He's so good at every little thing that he does. Like I love it. So that match was great. And then Jericho beat Darby Allin in a title match after interference from Jake Hager.
Which I got to be thinking, like, I was watching Darby, because they focused on Darby's face a lot when Jericho was entering. And come on, I don't give a shit how cool Darby thinks he is. You can't be like in your head like, I'm fucking wrestling in the main event for the title with Chris Jericho right now.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like, what the fuck am I doing right
But
now?
I love the fact they had that face paint or the body paint were just champ.
It was great.
all over
And
it.
the skateboard that said
Great.
like Darby Allin champion or whatever. One of the biggest things to take away from this
Like,
match,
I would have shit my pants.
because I think that Darby Allin is clearly someone that they have pegged
Yes.
as
Yeah,
one of the
absolutely.
guys who's going to be one of their top guys of young talent. And the fact that he went toe-to-toe with Jericho and had to be not only had his hands taped behind his back, but then he still was kicking out of stuff to where Jericho needed Jake Hager to interfere to make it happen, to let
That made
Jericho
him look
win.
real good.
That made him look so good.
Yeah.
I mean, that made it look like that there were clearly he's going to get another chance at the title. I mean,
Yeah.
he's one that's being put in that position.
And I
His
expressed
title
my
weighs more than he does.
Right. I had expressed my concerns about him in AEW before and like how they're going to show him. And the past 2 weeks I was like, okay, this works really well, and I like what they're doing with him. And he could have matches that are a little crazy, but they're still wrestling matches.
Well, and also, we just harped on the Marko Stunt thing a little bit, and we said, like, you need to establish if someone's smaller that they have what it takes to do that.
Yeah.
And Darby is the perfect example of them doing it totally right. Because, like you said, the title probably weighs more than Darby, but they have firmly established that Darby is gritty, that, like, it takes a lot to put him down. Like, great. That's been done perfectly. Everything about Darby Allin's been done great. So at least they've done both. They've got one that they are killing in that department. And also, we shouldn't be too hard on the Marko Stunt situation because obviously we should mention that this only happened. It was a very last minute thing that came about. It was supposed to be Luchasaurus in the match, who now tore his hamstring.
You like
unfortunately.
Marko, you like
So it's a
Nicholas. We get it.
He posted, or his girlfriend posted on his Patreon page saying that he tore his hamstring.
Bum dog.
They said they was preparing for the match beforehand.
He had a Gryffindor before the match. And
He got Gryffindored, yeah. Okay, well, we're going to go quickly through NXT because not everyone here watched it yet. We record this on Thursday, guys. So Eli has a girlfriend. These guys are doing things. But they are up to date, just not having watched all of it. So I'll kind of breeze through
And
this
let's
a little
throw in the
quickly.
fact that there's so much goddamn wrestling on
Yeah,
TV right now.
that's why I wanted to preface it. I want to
There's so
fault
much
you
wrestling
guys
on
for
Wednesday
it.
night. There's never been really like that
No.
much wrestling on Wednesday before.
It's honestly like I love the new wrestling schedule. I love it. I feel like you've got Monday to get you going. You got Wednesday to you got max amount of wrestling. On Friday you got Smackdown, and then you can then fill in the gaps with all the other stuff. I've been watching Power. I've liked some of the things on Power.
I've heard good things.
Although it's not too different than Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. It's like Championship Wrestling from Hollywood with a different set. Where Jamie, I want to give Jamie props here too. Jamie has been killing it. I'm like, did you guys see
absolutely.
that promo that I was talking about?
No,
I was impressed in that promo.
So I started DVRing it, and I'm always just like, let me get to Jamie. And
I do the same thing.
And I'm like, oh, there it is.
Well, I appreciate it.
If I like can't get to it before I delete them, I'm like, I gotta make sure I get to the Jamie promo real
Well,
quick.
shit. Now I'm really nervous. The next one's got to be good.
You completely screw it up.
We're gonna win.
But I like that I can
God
like.
dang it, Ryan!
I can fit in New Japan. I can fit in NWA. I can fit in Impact. I can fit in things. You know,
Yeah.
I like it. So NXT, we had Ciampa, his return match. I loved it. He was clearly re-energized, ready to go. I didn't love that his opponent was Angel Garza because it was a very quick match, and I feel like Angel Garza does have promise in NXT.
absolutely. But I think
They've been making him lose a lot, though.
Yeah, have they?
Yeah, this
Okay.
was. If I remember correctly, he hasn't been.
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
That guy has got a good look, and I think they could do something with him later on, on Raw or SmackDown.
I think they will. He's
he's
got
good.
promise.
He's brought up a lot. They bring him up a lot.
A
Yeah.
young Del Rio in a way, as far as what
Well,
they
I
want
hope
to do.
not.
I mean, as far as
Good talent.
I loved the cocky Undisputed Era coming out with a hard thumb drive afterwards and kind of just like tossing it on the desk like total dickheads.
Kyle O'Reilly just be like, here, you might want to watch that.
Yeah, he was just so like skeevy all dude.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was great.
They're really giving these guys. I really think they want. I don't know if I said this before, but they really want the Undisputed Era to be their Bullet Club.
Oh yeah, of course.
They really do.
Oh, of course.
And they're really and also their new NWO because like the extra shit they got them doing. It reminds me so much of old NWO stuff.
Oh, that's definitely the vibe they're going for sure. So then we had Danny Burch and Oni versus Imperium, solid match. Nothing like crazy, but
Right.
I like that Imperium kind of like got some of their heat back. We had Io Shirai versus Caden Carter, and then there was the post-match angle with Rhea Ripley, and I'm really wondering what they're doing with the women's division, like for War Games. They've got like all these hanging threads of like things they're kind of setting up, and it also happened in the Tegan Nox thing. Tegan Nox beat Tainara Conti, and then there was a post-match angle with the Four Horsewomen kind of showing up and talking shit to Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai. With all those things, I'm almost wondering if we're gonna get if we're getting a women's War Game.
That's what I'm thinking too.
They're starting to set it up. It seems like.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Like it feels like it would be probably the Horsewoman versus.
Well, I was thinking
Nox,
Shayna.
Kai, and Candice.
I was thinking Shayna, Marina, Jessamine, and no, I was gonna say and Rhea on the heel team. Even though they had that thing where they'll like maybe. And then she said, if you help me win, I'll give you a title shot type thing versus Candice, Dakota, Tegan, and Bianca.
Okay, yeah.
But then also, where does that leave Io Shirai?
That's what I was saying.
And then also, I don't know if they're going to put Dakota Kai and Tegan into a War Games match right after coming back from like really serious injuries. Like, Tegan is wearing double knee braces.
Do you think that they have to do like 4-on-4 in War Games?
What else would you're more of a WCW? Have more WCW knowledge than me.
They could do a 3-on-3 in that. Like, I mean,
You don't think?
Well, I mean,
I feel like there's the whole point is to fill up the ring.
Well, do you think that if they're doing like the women's match, do you think they'll also do a men's War Games too, similar like what they do with Hell in a Cell? Like, I mean,
no, I feel like that Triple H knows you can only do one.
Okay,
he seems more of like not repeating the same gimmick on one show.
I just feel like they've never done it before, so like they could get away with a 3-on-3, and like and that would
or extend it to 5-on-5.
Yeah,
that's the other option. Is maybe extend it to 5-on-5.
Yeah, that's probably actually more realistic.
Io
and Rhea on the heel team,
Yeah.
and then someone else on the face team, maybe
a Yam and Bianca Belair,
something like that. I'd be into the women's War Games
Absolutely.
match. I think it's a good idea.
And if Io is not in the match, I want to see her just run out at one point
do
and
a
just
moonsault
off it, just like fuck. There you go.
Yeah, 100%. And then so we had Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic again. That match ended with interference from Roddy, setting up a 3-way title match next week. I don't know if there's a lot to say that was different than the last matches they've had. It was still killer.
Yeah.
That Poison Rana that Keith Lee did was insane. And then He's so big. But I am looking forward to the three-way. I think the three-way is going to be dope next week for the title.
I do like the fact that it just always seems like if we're going to have this match to determine the number one contender, interference, and Regal's like, well, I do it every time. It's a three-way. Sorry. It's always going to be a three-way. If you do that, three-way.
He is, he's pretty on brand with that.
He forced his hand.
Then Matt Riddle had a short match with Bronson Reed, but man, impressive. Impressive match. Like, dude, the fact that he can do that Bro Derek on him was insane to me.
That Bronson Reed senton freaked me out because a lot of times the senton, like if you do it right, you're kind of like skidding off onto the like you're kind of kissing them. You're not planting on them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bronson fucking like accordioned on fucking like on Riddle. Like he literally like the center of his back like that. I was like
Totally.
that's full weight. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that guy, I saw him do a swanton at the Performance Center, and I was like, damn, that's big man to be doing a swanton. But yeah, that was brutal looking. And also, when he did the Bro Derek, I was like, man, the fact that he was able to hold him on his shoulder, transition him over to like a tombstone vibe, and then do the front forward thing, like, that's crazy.
He's so strong.
So strong. Then they also had a short video package on Finn Balor, and it ended with, and I loved this video package. It had a cool vibe to it. It kind of made Finn feel cool again a little bit. And it ended with him saying, my future will be my past. Didn't really explain what that means. Any idea, any guesses?
I'm thinking he's going back to like being like the hotshot Finn Balor that we knew from Japan. And not like the Fergal. Like, I don't think that it means demon stuff. I think it means more fucking almost sleazy Finn
I feel like
Balor.
I'm the only person on the planet who just isn't that like excited for Finn.
Really?
Yeah.
I kind of felt like it was just like something they did for that first episode, like to kind of like
Not so
the
much
first
that.
episode of competition.
Not so much that, but I'm
NXT
sorry.
A boost.
He's been there. He's been to the dance. He's been to WrestleMania. He's done all these things. I'm sorry. Like, I don't give a shit how much of a new coat of paint there is on NXT because it's on USA and stuff. It's a downgrade.
I think that this is you're exactly why we need this to happen. And
I think that's a very good point, Kevin.
Is that fans have been like, well, he's just like you've said before. He's smiling because I get to be here, just having a smile on my face.
Yeah.
Glad to be here, guys. And now we kind of maybe get a reboot of what Finn Balor could actually do.
I hope so.
And I also feel like there was the the idea that back when it happened before, when guys like Tyson Kidd did it, they were like at the end of they had no more options. They had to reinvent themselves, otherwise they were over. And I don't think Finn Balor was at that.
With Finn, it's like, okay, we can't figure out how to make you work here, so let's put you back in NXT.
I think it's the opposite. I think it's that we realized that we got away from where you should be, so we want to get you back there so that when you're here, you're a valuable asset.
Because I love Finn. I think he's great. And it's just when I saw him show up on NXT, I was like, they're treating it nicely. They're not like saying like, it's like, oh, here's Finn Balor. Like they're treating it like, oh, he's NXT, because they're really trying to. With Gargano, they did the same thing. That they're really
NXT for life.
Yes,
Yeah.
that they're really trying to make it like a place that people want to be, which is great. They should. Gargano has not been to WrestleMania. Gargano has not held a major title in WWE.
Wasn't the first Universal Champion.
Yeah.
And I just think, going from weekly 15,000, close to 15,000 people, different city every week, to 300 people at Full Sail. Sure. I'm sorry, just to me, you can have as many takeovers as you want. I don't see that as the same thing.
I just think that it was maybe a lot of Triple H being like, I know what you could be, and I want to see you be that again, and I'm going to fight to make sure that Vince could see that now that we're on USA. Now that Vince is going to be part of, maybe watching this show more closely.
Which I would love. If that was the case, I would love that.
So I'm hoping.
I hope nothing the best for Finn because he's so talented. But it's just, to me, it seemed to me that Vince gave up on him.
That's fair.
Oh, yeah,
That's fair.
absolutely.
Okay, and then lastly, we had Killing Dame defeated Boa, but not much discussed there. And then there was Pete Dunne versus Damian Priest. We don't really have a lot of time to discuss it because I got to get my editor out of here. But I will say, if you didn't watch that match, go watch it. It was a banger. I was very impressed with that match. They tore it up.
I love the casual finger snap from Pete Dunne to Killian Dane. Like,
That was funny.
super casual. Just
Very
like,
casual.
Just face off with me. Snap.
Jamie, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Instagram at JAMIE_IOV. No, that's my Twitter. I'm sorry. Twitter is JAMIE_IOVINE, or on Instagram, just JAMIEIOVINE. Is that you doing that?
That was me doing that.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. I was glad you were looking at me like, Jamie, shut up. I was like, I'm not doing it. Or you could find me every week at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on TV. Find your local providers. I'm sure you can find it in some shape or form. If all else fails, it's not on your cable provider. Go to Fight TV. It's right there. And also we do air some episodes on YouTube now. So
Nice.
And also check in Network every day for a different drop, raffle, event, everything. We sell from shoes to sauces.
Did that one you sent us go out already? The Whoop Whoop one?
No, not yet.
I didn't say. I don't
that
wanna
was
say
just the
it.
first time we got like the physical,
Okay.
as opposed from design to physical.
Those look awesome. I'm looking forward to those. Kevin, where can people find you at?
You guys got me at Kevin Gets Rad across platform. There you go.
Eli, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Elijah Bates and on Instagram at Brindlebeard.
Dude says the same thing you do, but for some reason it seems like he does more.
It really does, yeah. Although he did kind of steal your thunder by like taking the one line there of just like all across the board. ProWrestlingSheet.com, that's the website where you can find all the top stories in the world of professional wrestling throughout the week at Wrestling Sheet on social media. YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. That's where you can find all the videos that we do. Wrestling Sheet Radio, Raw Recap, and all the interviews that I posted recently from the Performance Center. I'm sorry, I wanted to make a podcast out of them, but when the fires happened out here in the Valley last week, it threw my whole Friday off where I'd planned to do it that day, but instead I had to help my girlfriend with fire-related things with her mom. So it definitely threw things off. So I apologize that I didn't get to put that on the podcast feed. But check them out on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. The podcast feed, it's Wrestling Sheet Radio on all the major podcast platforms. And for those of you who listened to the show last week and watched or listened to our mock draft that I did with James McKenna, and you want a little bit of an update on that, I crushed James 75-25 in the votes. Everyone liked my roster better because it was obviously better. Okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out for now. Until next time, stay out of the dirt and keep your eye on the sheet.